Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, another episode of A Woman's Prerogative. We are so thrilled to have you here. If you haven't done so yet, please do take a moment to subscribe to our two YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Have you ever been engaged in a conversation with someone and what you're trying to convey to them is completely interpreted or taken in a different way? Or vice versa. Someone meant something as a compliment and you took it as an insult. We're going to be talking about this global miscommunication crisis of one person saying something that they mean one thing and someone else interpreting it another way. So if you are new to us, I am not here alone. I actually have a co-host, my dear friend, mentor and colleague. Her name is Mariska, and she is joining us from a day later and a season later from Australia. She's an author. She's a certified coach. She is a trainer, and she is someone who really takes her work seriously. She's helped so many people across the world, including me. Let's welcome her to the program and dive into the conversation. Hello.
Hello. And thank you for having me back every week.
Well, it's a pleasure. We keep rocking on. I think we're going into year 5 or 6 at this point. I don't even know. But we've covered a lot of topics, which I really appreciate. So thank you for continuing to take this journey. And we really are global because when you and I first started, you were in New Zealand and now you're in Australia. And I was in New Jersey and Florida. I'm not sure where else, but we are still here and we're delivering education and content. So tell our audience a little bit about how you can help them.
So if you are a leader stepping into leadership or you are stepping up in your leadership journey, that's typically where I help. It's not the only place I help, but that's normally the place that I help. Or if you are going through any form of transformation. So if you think about going through those big life moments. For instance, when Dr. Jacalyn was moving out of her corporate career and into something else. That's a big transition, right? So if you are in any of those types of spaces, that's where I help. And I partner with you to basically see how you can do that and how we can bring that also in alignment with who you are and how you work to do that best. So that's a little bit about me. You saw my LinkedIn as well as my website there, and you can also get me with the contact information at the bottom or the top, depending on which device you are using. And I cannot wait to get into this conversation today, Dr. Jacalyn, because yes, we have so many people that communicate in whatever way it might work for them, and then the ear that hears it might not actually receive it the same way. And of course, the emotional state that perceives it might not get it in the same way either. So
that's a big one, by the way, the emotional state. We'll have to focus on that. One thing that I've noticed is through the different generations, people communicate in different ways. And so I'm older and I grew up being told that it's important to speak in long sentences and use big words, and that makes you sound intelligent. And I know I've shared this before in corporate. One of my leaders I reported to was much younger and said, you take too long to speak, too many words, cut it down into the size of a Twitter post. And I didn't even know what Twitter was, X now. So it's interesting. But I also feel like sometimes there, especially from the younger generations, there's just one or two words like sus. I just saw that on a reality TV show, I think last I don't know that explains everything, and there can be miscommunication. So what are your thoughts about just different age groups and different generations communicating in different ways?
Well, age groups, if you bring any two humans together, I don't care what the age, the sex, the denomination, doesn't really matter. If you have two humans that come together and they want to communicate, it's most probably going to be some stuff that doesn't translate, because we don't have the same background, we don't have the same references. And as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, something as simple as a word. We might think we know what the meaning is of the word. And yes, the dictionary should give us a fairly good idea of what it in general will mean. But even if you look at the dictionary and you look at the evolution of words, the meanings of words as we use them change. And the meaning of words as I use them change, because the meaning I assign to it might be different. The feeling that I assign to the word might be different. So when I say a word that might resonate with me and I feel good about the word, and I speak to somebody else and they might have a different relationship with this word, it might not necessarily convey the same type of message. It reminds me of watching films that's been translated from one language to another type of language. Doesn't matter which language. They always get loads of stuff wrong. And it is because we have the same words, but translating it exactly the same way does not necessarily have the same meaning. So there's so much that can happen in communication, and yet we communicate and we think that the other person, just like I'm speaking to you now and I'm hoping that you understand what I'm saying, but you might not have a clue, right? So that's the thing about communication. It is not only about the words I speak, it is also about the words, the ideas, the concepts, the meaning that you make when it gets to your ear. So that's what I have on that at the moment, Dr. Jacalyn, and hopefully that made a little bit of sense.
Absolutely. And I think especially when you're talking about different cultures and maybe you pick up a translation, a pamphlet or booklet, or maybe you're taking some online course. And then when you actually go to communicate to someone, you realize that what you thought, you left out a word or you didn't say it the same way that they would normally say it, and it's completely misinterpreted. Or it's not even misinterpreted. You delivered it that way and it came across it that way, but you thought it was something different. And also just leaving out one word is really important. So if you say, I'm not interested, and the person heard, I'm interested. And that can also happen because people get emotional about things and they want something to work out a certain way. So they're just listening for any keywords that are going to line up with how they feel. Have you ever had that happen?
Yes. And I know for me personally, I have experienced it. And I have seen, especially when we have very high emotional attachment to whatever the thing is, it's very likely that our hearing becomes extremely selective, one. And two, we will only pick out of whatever the other person is saying, right? To get to that, are they agreeing with me or they disagreeing with me? So that's what I'm checking for. And then I'm already building the rest of my argument, rebuttal, whatever it might be. In my head, I've stopped listening, not listening anymore, right? It's like this person is continuing to talk. They are continuing to try and explain something to me, and I have stopped to listen. So I'm missing half the message, sometimes even more than that.
Well, great points that you brought up, and I want to dig a little bit further. Sometimes we have an emotional attachment to materialistic things. And when we start getting in a conversation with someone, we're so emotionally tied to something. And it could also be status. It could also be power. It could be something that really, if we were asked about it, defines our identity. And so when you start talking to someone about it, they become very emotional and they don't actually think about it. So this is another way that there could be miscommunication. So what are your thoughts, especially let's say in the world of business? What are your thoughts about how people can learn to communicate effectively so that both parties feel like they're walking away and that they feel heard?
That's a loaded question.
Just dig in.
Yeah. Let's just start with like something really big.
Yeah.
Okay. So to start off with, firstly, what I have found is for most people, they think they can listen really well. We don't. So I'm just putting that out there. That goes for me. That goes for most of the people that I work with. We do not listen nearly as well as we think we do. We really don't. And a way of testing this for ourselves and just going, okay, so how well do I actually listen? Right? Don't take my word for it. Really don't. I want you to go and test it for yourself. How well do you listen? And what I want you to do, you can do it now as I'm talking, or you can do it with your next conversation. Either way, doesn't really matter. Notice what's happening in your head, right? Are you agreeing or disagreeing with me? Are you, as you are listening, is there other things happening in your brain? So whatever that might be, that's part of our listening, and it interferes a little bit with how we might listen to whatever is being said or the message that's being carried over. So that's one thing that happens to all humans. You are human. So if you are in a human body, this might be an experience that you have. It is normal, right? It happens to all of us. And we can also make sure that we notice them when they come up and then go and get curious about it. So understanding what is happening for ourselves, getting curious about what's these thoughts that's coming up. I know that sometimes we talk to some people and we might not be interested in what we think they have to say, or we might be preoccupied with other things. So all of those things hamper our communication because it hampers how we listen. And as soon as our listening breaks down, we can't communicate properly anymore. And in business, this is a lot of times the things that we need to work on first is those basic listening skills, and then upgrading our listening skills as we go along. We also need to look at what the intention is behind our listening, because for a lot of the times we have different intentions behind the listening, and because of the intention behind the listening, it processes differently in our heads. So understanding how that works for us will also have a contribution that might help or hinder us in the process. And then, of course, our emotional state plays into this. So as I mentioned at the beginning, Dr. Jacalyn, this is a loaded question. There's so many different things that we need to look at. And for each person, it might be a little bit different in different areas, right?
Well, communication is a big topic. And I think in most cases, people think they're really good communicators. I mean, I've done surveys. I've asked people, rank yourself from 1 to 10 when I do workshops, and people are always at an 8, 9, or 10. And in some cases, I've had conversations with them. I'm like, No, I don't think so, but I can't say anything. But so the perception is that everyone knows how to listen. And so one of the things I think when it comes to business or even having a difficult conversation is that we go into it with an expectation. And the expectation is by the end of this conversation, this is going to happen. And so we're no longer listening to what the other person has to say. And many times we may misrepresent what a person said or didn't even say because in our mind we were so focused on the outcome. So if you are in business, for example, and you're looking to sell more, you're looking to have more productivity or less turnover or decreased costs, that's what your objective is. And you meet with someone, let's say it's a supplier you're going to meet with, and they are promising to deliver an outcome that will impact those 3 areas. So you're listening for the sound bites of how it's going to decrease turnover. And maybe you never hear it the whole time, but maybe the person's telling you that this service or product is going to impact something that ultimately will impact turnover, but you never heard the word turnover, so you just tuned out. And so then you become disgruntled and you feel like you wasted your time at the meeting. And I think that goes on a lot. And I think even in personal relationships, it's something similar. So what are your thoughts on the difference between being heard in a personal relationship or being heard in a business relationship? And I'll just throw one out there. I think a big one is emotions. I think when it's something personal, we can get very highly emotionally charged and then we're not listening. So what are your thoughts? Do you think there's a difference between when you are communicating in a business aspect or when it's personal?
Personally, we are still the same human being. So for me, one, if you are communicating in a business environment and you find yourself very detached to whatever the thing is, I have a few questions. Because what are you doing there? Why are you detached? What's happening? Because the emotional state that we are in, I'm not saying that we need to be in an elevated emotional state. What I am saying is that it needs to be important enough to us to want to make a difference to it, right? Now, whether you are in business or whether it is a personal relationship, that still is true for both. And one of the things that I've noticed is either in business or in a personal relationship, as soon as we step on other people's values or our values are stepped on, it has an emotional response. It's a little bit like a mini landmine that we may or may not know exists. So that has a response. It has an eruption of, not necessarily always helpful emotions, but there's an eruption of emotion in those spaces because it's indicating that something's been stepped on. That can definitely impact the communication, the way we communicate, how we communicate, and especially how heard we are feeling. Because if somebody steps on a value, it means that they didn't hear me. They didn't listen to what was important to me. I might not have said the words because a lot of the times we don't say the words. But it is something that in my heart of hearts is really important to me. And because this other person that I'm communicating to is not listening to it, it makes me upset. It makes me not feel heard. It makes me not feel seen. And it doesn't matter whether it is a personal relationship or a business relationship. It has the same reaction in both. In business, we might forgive the person stepping on the value because they might not have known, right? In the personal relationship, we might not be as forgiving because, well, you should know me better than that. But it has a response in both situations because it is important to us. And I think that, to me, it doesn't really matter whether we are in business or we are personal. It sort of will have a response of some sort when it is important to us, regardless which space we are occupying at that stage. Well, that's what I've seen. How about you, Dr. Jacalyn?
No, I would agree. I think another really good example is a vacation. So you have two people who are not getting along. And it's kind of like, I've heard this so many times. The one person says, we need to get out of here. We need to get away. We need to spend time together. But wherever you go, you take your challenges with you. And so our friend Roland Friedel, one of our team members, he's been living in a motorhome, an RV, for the last, I think we're going on 5 years now. And he's the one who told me this, which really made sense, that you take your challenges, your problems with you. So if you are not communicating very well while you are at home and you go on vacation, it's the same thing, because you never dealt with whatever the issues are. And so what I want to talk about a little bit now is when we think about the world in totality, there's 6 degrees from separation. And even though you physically are so far away from me and where I am right now, we have so many things in common. And for many people across the world, they feel like they're not being heard. And it really starts with ourselves. And that's where I want to start and talk about, because someone might say, well, what do you mean? How can you not hear yourself? Well, our body gives signals, right? It gives clues. If we're not listening to our intuition, we've got that gut feeling and we ignore it. It starts with us. And it also starts with how we talk to ourselves. So can you elaborate a little bit about that? If you are a person who is saying you're a loser, you're a zero, you're a failure, you're never going to be anything. No one else is even telling you this. You are telling it to yourself. How do you think that that can manifest itself as a ripple effect throughout the rest of your life?
Well, to start off with, if we tell that to ourselves, we have already lost the battle before we even begun. Right? It's like, well, I'm not going to step into the ring. Why even bother? Right? So we took our feet out from under us, ourselves. Nobody else did that. We did that. And Dr. Jacalyn, earlier in this episode, you mentioned expectations. And I think it is linked to that to a degree. We have these expectations of ourselves, or these belief sets that we feel, one, they might have served us, and two, we might feel that they're important for some reason. That may or may not be true, right? I'm not saying they are, and I'm not saying they are not. They may or may not be true, and they may or may not be serving you. And yet, we are living them like they are solid things. Like, this is a wall and I cannot break this wall. Now, I don't know if you've ever watched any demolition or home renovation sort of episodes. Walls can be broken. That's a lot of fun too. And then you can build something new. And we need to decide, we need to take the step to actually break the wall, right? We need to want to go, I want to push this thing out and not have it there anymore. And now there's going to be a window, right? I need to decide that. Nobody else can do that for me. So if I'm not in a space where I want to decide to do that, then nobody else can help it either. And it is human. It takes effort. Just like with the renovation shows, it will take some resources to actually get it done, right? A wall doesn't just disappear and a window appears all by itself. That doesn't happen on this plane. We need to put some work towards it. And that's the same for us as human beings. We need to put some work towards getting better at whatever the thing is that we want to get better at. And this includes the way we talk to ourselves, the way we talk to other people. And as you mentioned, Dr. Jacalyn, if we can start with us, it is a lot easier to then help and push. It's almost like pushing it from a full cup out into the world versus waiting for the world to push good stuff in for us, because if you're going to do that, it might take a while. So I would rather be in charge of myself. Thank you so very much. That's my preference personally. So starting with me, it just makes a lot more sense. And I know that you love growth and improvement, Dr. Jacalyn. So what's your experience been like?
Well, one thing that I want to add on to what you said is when we are offering people the opportunity to share how they feel, sometimes that might not be a pleasant experience. And sometimes they might not have even asked for permission to do so. And the interesting part is that sometimes people just need to express themselves. And so what I suggest, living alone, this is something that I've done a lot of research on this, and there's a lot of documentation. People who live by themselves, they talk out loud. And so when you talk out loud and you review what it is that happened or how you're feeling, you're actually getting it out of your system in a way, instead of having it all bottled up. And I think what we're seeing in the world today with the miscommunication, it's also on social media. There's so much hatred. There's so much anger. And some of the things that people put, it's actually shocking. Like, I find myself all the time just unfriending people because I don't want to hear the negativity. It's not something that I want to have in my life. But is the fact that people are unhappy, are people afraid, are people concerned? Yes. But I do believe that there is a way to express yourself so that people would be more willing and interested to hear what you have to say, instead of taking an attack approach or a hatred approach or some kind of approach that's just filled with so much negativity. I know for myself, I really like to be in a peaceful place. And so when I'm in a peaceful place, I don't want any drama. And so I kind of put up a boundary. I've kind of removed myself from drama. What are your thoughts about how drama, like even the word drama and crisis, they kind of have a connection? What do you think?
They do. And as you speak the word, to me, they both feel heavy.
Negative.
Yeah. It's not fun words.
No, they're not.
So why would I want to have them in my life?
No, but some people feed off of it. I mean, you look on social media and you see, like, you follow someone, let's just say, and every day, every post, it's just negative, negative, negative. And I think to myself, it has to be impacting them physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And maybe they just don't realize it. Maybe they need an intervention to say, hey, by the way, do you feel not heard? Do you want someone to listen? I don't know. Do you think that helps?
Well, that might be helpful. It's also so what I want to present in our conversation is, we are not saying not seeing what is out there, right? Being honest with ourselves to go, yeah, this thing sucks. I had an experience yesterday, actually, where I'm busy with a presentation development. And the presentation, the way that they asked me to do it and the way that I want to do it's a little bit different, because they wanted me to talk about myself for 45 minutes, which does not sound like a lot of fun. For me, in any case. Might be fun for the other people, I don't know. So I wanted to bring in some activity, something where we can learn together, where we can share together. For me, that sounds like a lot more fun. Plus, you get to actually experience something with me instead of just me telling you what I have experienced in life. You have your own experiences. So I'm sure that between the 2 or 5 or 50 of us in the room, we can work out what works, what doesn't work, and how that might look in a variety of different ways. And as I went through the process, I also came to the conclusion that, because part of that is, well, we're going to have to learn, right? And one of the things that we know about learning is sometimes it sucks. And as I worked through the process of putting together this presentation or this workshop, I was learning. And I told the person that I was working with and brainstorming with, this sort of sucks. And I'm asking people to step into this space with me. And it's good for me to feel, emotionally just feel, experience the amount of suckiness that it can sometimes be to be in this learning space. And knowing that it sucks. And it's fine, right? It's part of the process. There's nothing wrong with it. It is like when we have a plant, new seedling that we have planted, it needs to push its head through the soil. It's part of the process. If a butterfly comes out of the cocoon, it actually needs the process of struggling out of the cocoon so that it's strong enough and its wings can form properly. If we open the cocoon for it, it doesn't have that experience, it doesn't grow the muscles it needs to grow, and it can't fly, right? So it impacts its whole life by that one kindness, and I'm putting air quotes around it because it's not a kindness. We made a disservice for it. So understanding how are we serving ourselves and how are we disserving ourselves, because we might think it's a kindness, some of these things that we are doing for ourselves and for other people, the ways we are communicating might not be serving us. And Dr. Jacalyn, I think I went way off topic there.
No, you were spot on. I think something else that comes up for me in this area is if I think about politicians or I think about governments, many times that's where people get upset because the government is going in a direction that they don't believe in. And I've had many people say to me, you should be the listening mentor for the government and you should. But I think the challenge is, and this is where I wanted to go with this, is that politicians, for example, have an agenda. So they get elected based on an agenda that they have shared. Now, there are definitely times, and we're not talking about politics per se, but there are definitely times when people go off the agenda for whatever reason because they can't get the support that they need. But at the same time, I wonder, because there is an agenda, are they even open to listening? Because if they listen and they hear what the constituents have to say, they may have to change their agenda, and that might not be in alignment with what their objectives are.
Yeah. It goes back to what you mentioned earlier around expectation setting, right? If we have an expectation for one thing, we might not like it if it's not actually that. And it's nobody else's expectation but our own. My expectation of this thing, that this will happen and that will happen. And I don't control other people. I can control me. I can control my expectation of things, right? I can do that. I can't control them. Nobody can ever control anyone else. We think we can, but we can't.
Well, you know, it's funny that you just mentioned that when, I don't know if you've seen any of these, I don't know if they're Instagram or wherever it is, but I see that there are these robots that have been designed. One was herding sheep or something, and the robots don't even listen. Like sometimes they get completely out of control and they're going off script. They seem to have their own agenda. So when it comes to humans and how complex we all are, it's no wonder. So I think one of the questions I want to kind of spend a few minutes before we close out is it possible to live in a world where there is no miscommunication?
Why not?
Why not? All right, I like it. I'll take it.
I don't see a reason for us. If we really want it, I don't care what it is. I really live by the belief system, and this may or may not be true, and it's been serving me really well for a very long time, and my clients too. Nothing is impossible. It might be improbable, or we might not have worked it out quite yet, but it's not impossible. So, Dr. Jacalyn, living in an environment where we can clearly communicate with each other really well, yes, it's possible. Of course it's possible. And there's loads of us that's trying to build a place, an environment in which that can happen properly. And part of it is understanding how we work, how our physiology work as human beings, because neurologically we are set up in certain ways, and our brain wants to conserve energy, so it doesn't like to change things. And that's fine, right? It is the way that it works. Realizing that it's the way that it works, and also realizing that our brain is malleable and our system is malleable, gives us the opportunity to go, well, my brain works this way, so it might not make it easy for me, but I can still change it. I can still change it. It's possible to do that. It might take a little bit of persistence and it might take a little bit of time, but it is possible. So yes, we can communicate in ways where we can start to understand each other better. Please do go and take it out into the world.
Well, you've given us hope. I love that.
Good.
And the last thing I just want to touch on, because we're almost out of time, is what about the power of being right? Because this really does, to me, come into the foundation of miscommunication. I've got to be right. You've got to be right. We've got to walk away from the argument, from the conversation. Yay, we are the victors. That happens quite a bit. So to me, that's one of the foundational areas that needs improvement. It needs some hope. It needs something. What do you suggest?
Well, I'm not sure whether I have any suggestions for the person that wants to be right. I am of the opinion that there's most probably an absolute right. And in our human form, I'm not too sure that we will have access necessarily to that absolute right. Right. So it doesn't really matter what argument you have. There's going to be a percentage of that that is insufficient, that has not got all the research, not got all the information, not have all the things that it needs to have. So being right, that's an expectation, guys. It's an expectation. Being right is an expectation. And the only person that can change it, if you are in the space of, and I have been, I'll be honest, I have been in the place where I wanted to be right. Right? We all get into it from time to time. And it's our expectation. We want it for some or other reason. And then we put emotions to it. And we attach values to it. And then they become little bombs.
Well, I have to share that as a peace ambassador, I've had a lot of training because, as a peace ambassador, if I was out in the field per se, or if I was out on an assignment, you have to be able to help people hear one another and negotiate. Right. A lot of it's a negotiation so that people feel heard. And many times that could be as simple as it is, because maybe the two parties are so far apart. Maybe in terms of what they believe, it could be cultural. They're so far apart that bringing them together so that they're meshing like this is not possible. But the first step is getting each person to listen, to be open to the idea that together we can be stronger than if we try to divide ourselves. And I think that is where there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I love your enthusiasm. I appreciate it. And I'm hoping that hope springs eternal and that people realize that there is help for learning how to listen. There is help for learning how to negotiate and learning how to find compromise. But I think what it comes down to, this will be my final word, and then your final word is whether or not you want to live a peaceful life. Or is there some part of you that really loves the drama? You really love the control. You like things being out of control because that's all you know. And you have to raise your hand and say, you know what? Yes, this is actually me. And not be afraid of opening up and seeing what else is out there to help you find peace. So that's my last word on that. What's yours?
Well, Dr. Jacalyn, to your point of the being right, there's always a better way. And the way that I came up with might not be it. And the way that the other person came up with might also not be it. But when we put our heads together, the likelihood of us finding something that's even better together is increased. You can only do that when we actually listen. So that would be something that if we plant any seeds in your brain today, remember it's malleable. Yes, sometimes it sucks. And we can achieve more together. Our system is literally made, physiology, right, made us to work better together than we do apart. That's what makes us good as a species. That's what helped us get to where we are right now. So remember that. Remember that next time you feel like, I want to be right. I want to get my message across. Yes, the other person wants to do exactly the same thing. And if we can start from our side, remember, I can only control me, can't control other people. But if I can start from my side to open the door to listen and then find a different way, that's not this one or this one, but it's something more, then we start to grow in how we communicate. And that dream of everybody being able to communicate well becomes a little more of a reality for all of us. So go out and prosper.
Go out and prosper. I love that. How can people reach you, Mariska, and what do you have coming up for you?
So how you can reach me is via my email or via my LinkedIn. That's the easiest ways to reach me. You can also do that via my website. So LinkedIn, you have up there, that side or that side. You also have my website up there. And then my email is Mariska, Mariska, @journey, JOURNEY, 2, discover, DISCOVER.com. So that's how you can get hold of me via my email address. Otherwise, you can DM me on my LinkedIn and we can start our conversation. And what I have coming up, so more or less towards the middle of this year, I'm planning to have a workshop. Details to follow. Yes, I'm still working on it. And I'm very excited to be able to share that with you guys a little bit later on. So yes, otherwise you can also get in touch with me if you have any transformation work that you are busy with or you are stepping into or up as a leader and you want to bring some more humanness into your space, because guess what? You are human and I am human and your whole team is human, even though we employ AI. So yes, that's me.
Thank you very much, Mariska. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your beautiful day there. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
You will indeed, and enjoy the rest of your beautiful evening.
Thank you very much. Bye for now.
Bye for now.
We are going to close out again just with a simple request wherever it is you're watching. Please go over to YouTube. Join us. Watch us on YouTube, USA Global TV and Radio, and Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. They give us the ability to put all of our shows into playlists, and it's so easy to find what it is that you're looking for because we offer so much. Okay, I have 3 new books that are out, and my newest one is available as an ebook, and it will be available for paperback and for hardback in May. And so it's called Stop Giving Away Your Value, Boundaries, Pricing, and the Business of Respect. Who is this for? This is for anyone who has something they offer and they're giving away for free. So if you find that you have difficulty charging for your worth, and I'll give you an example. Today, I had a conversation with a gentleman who wants to collaborate and do something. And he said right away, if this works out, I'm taking this percentage. And I was really impressed by his confidence. He didn't ask me. He just told me that's what he was taking. And I thought, oh my gosh, like if it were me, I'd be like, well, if that works for you, I hope it's okay. Well, maybe it's too much of it. No, forget it. Okay, stop giving away your value. It's when people start to question your confidence, they don't want to work with you. So let's take a look at the movie trailer for the new book. And thank you again for watching. We'll be back with our next program. Bye for now.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no, lowering your price to secure the opportunity, giving more while receiving less. Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Vargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
In a quiet seaside town in Greece, where sunlight warms the stone paths and the sea whispers nearby, a new adventure begins. Lady Ella and her brother Lord Jack have arrived with an important mission: to teach kindness, patience, and the power of listening. In a hidden alley, a group of forgotten cats feel unseen and unheard, lost in silence and growing misunderstandings, until someone finally takes the time to truly listen. Because when we listen from the heart, loneliness softens, kindness grows, and new friendships begin. This is Book 10 of The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor book series. Find all Dr. KERBECK's books on Amazon and in fine bookstores worldwide.
My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends, and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, a kid's guide to bellyaches and bathroom troubles by Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world.
In a world that moves fast, there's strength in the woman who moves with grace. Introducing Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Each piece is intentionally designed for the woman who knows her worth, crafted from luxurious Italian eco-fabrics that feel as good as they look. With elegant coverage, effortless support, and timeless style, our swimwear celebrates both your body and your essence. Founded by fashion expert Carrie Sykes, Bay London is made for women who want to feel sexy, stylish, and seen. From poolside to beachside, sunrise to sunset, Bay London outfits you for every moment that matters. Because beauty isn't about age, it's how you wear your confidence. Bay London, confidence, elegance, effortless luxury. Visit baylondon.com. Act now for your exclusive friends and family discount of $35. Scan the QR code. Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Proud sponsor of USA Global TV and Radio.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many it's such an unknown topic to the average person, and to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.